host,
recording to the,
Andrea.
now I'm recording it into my computer.
Yeah.
Well done.
So please, Stanislav, please share whatever you would like to share.
Oh, there is a note. Let me just read. I am an AI assistant helping Andreas. Chief Heiser, take notes for this meeting. Follow along the transcript here. Well, what does this mean? The AI came
Very
for
soon AI will replace
assisting
us.
me. I don't know. You'll also be able to see screenshots of the key moments, add highlights, comments, and actions. Shall I do something? So this is the Andreas's note taker. That's the AI for me. Thank you. Don't know what to do with this.
Can we have an assistant?
Yes. Let's see. Maybe, well, I do this sometimes with some students to, well, activate the AI companion also, and then it works out a summary or so of our session, which is quite helpful and quite fine. But I think it needs the compliance of all the participants for this, but I'm not sure. Anyway, in legal questions, I'm not.
Sometimes it writes in subtitles down, and then it disturbs very much. But I don't see it now, so that's fine.
Yeah. So we just leave it as it is right now.
Okay, then.
And still some coming.
People are coming.
Mm-hmm.
So it is 5 past the hour. So let me say today, Dr. Andreas Schreiber is going to discuss on the key aspects of logophilosophy that Viktor Frankl touched upon but did not fully elaborate. But before Dr. Schreiber will lead, Stanislav Kuznetsov will inform us about the upcoming World Congress that will be held in Turkey in Antalya.
May I start?
Please.
So hello everyone, one more time, and my name is Stanislav, or in the short version like Stas. I'm originally from Russia, but I've been living for 6 years in Slovakia, and I'm here today to present you or to announce the Congress. Maybe you heard about this already, maybe you haven't, and if you haven't, I'll just share a few details with you about the Congress. It's the 5th World Congress of Logotherapy that we are organizing, and it will be in Turkey, as it was already said. The date from 18th of October to 23rd of October, and it will be in the very beautiful place in Antalya. We rented a hotel that will be only for us, so the full hotel will be filled with different logotherapists from different parts of the world. And we, first of all, it's also in a quiet place. So because Antalya is like, I don't know whether you've ever been to Turkey or not, like it's a place where there are many hotels, but this one particularly is far away from others. So like only the forest around, so we can like completely dive into the like logotherapy. 5 full days. The full Congress program will be published in September, but we expect like leading professionals from around the world, and there will be different lectures, master classes, and there will be case supervision. So we will also, for example, a group from Russia will share their new, like some inventions, such as concilium therapy. For example, concilium therapy was first, I think, presented by Ms. Shtukareva in Vienna last year. Also, like there was a training held in Vienna, and well, you can participate like in person and online. Online participation is also available. The cost I think is like quite like democratic. The price for online participation, for example, is $180 for 5 days, and in-person participation, no, prices are on the website, but I think it starts from $700 or $800 for 5 days as well, excluding tickets. But to be honest, but still, and also the hotel is like, it's called Ultra All Inclusive. It's like something new stuff where, you know what all inclusive hotels are. Ultra All Inclusive is like all inclusive hotel, but 24/7. So you can eat and drink like without stop, like for 5 days, any time of the day. Yes. Also some excursions included around the city into like there is a sea, I think, near as well. So there will be also like some cultural program for us to enjoy, and many different like arts. So like there will be master classes like for dancing, I don't know, drawing and so on, like the concert program. And I hope that you will be able to come, or you will also be able to share this information with others. Also, if you decide to participate in person, you can present, you can be as a presenter until the 20th of June, 20th of June, yes. So like in the nearest 2 weeks, you should send your papers to the committee. On the website, which is very easy, logocongress.com, you will see there's a website held in Spanish, in Russian, and English, so you can switch to English version. Everything will be there. There are also like some, rules how to write the paper, to send it there. So you can send, I think, to present, but also like you can send, I think, as like as the journal. You know, I don't know how you say it in English correctly. It's like a journal with the articles. So like when you collect the articles from the Congress and then you publish it, I think that such possibilities also exist. But you can ask. There is a website there, so you can ask all your questions for you can ask for organizing committee for that. And also all information about the Congress that is available now is on the website. But also like in September we will publish the full program with names and like topics and so on. I think if you want to, like, again, present, you can also text to the organizing committee. I think it's possible. But or also just enjoy it online, or maybe come to Turkey and enjoy it. Like the weather will be very nice in October in Turkey, and so like it should be a very, very beautiful conference, and like the 5 days that we can spend together.
That's
May I ask something?
Yes, yes, of course.
Yeah, I have 2 questions. The first one is when you are online, not physically there, can you only listen to lectures, or can you also present online?
As far as I remember, the presentations online are not possible, but I think questions are possible. So, for example, if you listen to the someone's presenting, you can write to the chat, and I think that they will answer as well. Because as far as I know, the team from Russia will come as well, and like because in April we had the first Russian Congress, and like they are quite professionals who record it, and like it's very, very digital. So you can text, they immediately read it, and like everyone has microphones. So like and you have like the full participate more or less, except like some like excursions or other stuff, like everything else is possible online. But I think not presenting.
Not
Presenting
present.
possible.
That's
Yes,
very
only in
important.
person.
Okay. And the other question is there an organizing theme for the whole Congress? Have you decided on a theme?
Yes, the theme is Pax and Logos. The name of the Congress, Pax and Logos. As far as I think, Pax is like the world or the peace, and I think it's connected to the Elizabeth Lucas. I think she had the presentation about that, like in the past, Peace and Logos. So, and they continued on that with this topic on this Congress as well, as it's also like something that we all need now, our world. So it's like
it is similar to what we were planning with the United States, which I understand that it's delayed.
Okay.
Okay, then.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you very much
you,
for your attention.
Stanislaw, for the explanation. And Andreas, the stage is yours.
Yeah, just a second. How to get back? What's wrong here?
So until I get back to what he needs, I will.
Yeah.
I will say that we are organizing in Israel a celebration for the 120 years of the birth of Viktor Frankl. The date have passed, but it's still the 120 year. So if I can get translation, you might get an invitation. That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you. Thank you, Tida.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm now prepared because I just got a note that another former student of mine wanted to get in, but yeah, can't get with the link. And I don't know. I tried to pass forward Memdu's WhatsApp, and hopefully then she will show up soon. So, yeah. First of all, yeah, welcome you all, and I'm happy that so many are interested in this topic, although it sounds already kind of provocative to discuss some core assumptions and ideas philosophically. What came up in all of my teachings of logotherapy, often as questions or even questions from my side then. And I haven't elaborated too much, but nevertheless, I have created a little PowerPoint presentation. So I will open this and maybe switch on and off. So from this presentation mode and then to the plenum mode in order to have this discussion and to see who raises the hand or not. And it's not a lecture of my side. It's more an open discussion. And I hope, you join and participate lively. And if it might come to the case that nevertheless I get into lecturing, stop me and just intervene and pose your ideas and thoughts. So, where is it? Okay, I called it the missing links of logotherapy. Coming out of these ideas, somehow Frankl often just asserted a lot of things. He had a very deep philosophical reading, a deep philosophical knowledge and understanding, and all this flew into his psychotherapy and logophilosophy. And in most of his writings, he asserts his conclusions of all his philosophical thoughts. And me as a philosopher, I'm always have been bothered by this. I think, please, Frankl, not only assert and just explain it. And so I need to make up my own mind. How could you understand some of his just mentioned or asserted deeper thoughts or assumptions? So this is what I just introduced. We are searching, or I want to have an open dialogue on this. And there's no wrong and right about these answers, of course. And in this understanding, I think, we could respectfully discuss even some difficult points. And always feel free to ask other questions or bring up other thoughts or topics of logotherapy where possibly you also struggle with it. And then I want to discuss it with you. What we want to have is a deepen or more deeper understanding of his philosophy and see how it leads us or where it leads us. I just put in this slide. I don't know exactly why, because I don't know how deep everybody's rooted in philosophy. And that's why I just go through it quickly. Introduction into logotherapy. We know, developed by Viktor Frankl, and emphasizes finding meaning in life as the primary motivational force. And there are many, many core principles, and I just listed a few in order to stick with only one slide. Man is to be considered as a three-dimensional or as three-dimensional, with the noetic dimension as a specific human one, which comprises, well, the features or the capabilities of human, of self-distancing and self-transcending. One core assumption or core principle: meaning exists in all circumstances, even in suffering and adverse circumstances or situations. This will bother us, soon for reflection. Well, another one: human spirit is the ever healthy core of man, and as I've written, many others. So that's just a little introduction. But I assume that everybody is quite familiar with the logotherapy, but also logophilosophy. Here we will explore some aspects of logotherapy where Viktor Frankl touched upon, as I already mentioned, but not really elaborated them or explained them deeply. And those topics raise often some questions, some deeper questions of the students, and as mentioned in the beginning, also of me, which have bothered me. Again, our goal to discuss this. And already the first topic, and this is where I want to give it in what I call it, and I know it's not very common to call it like this, but the logotherapeutic dogma, which names the meaning of life and also meaning of adversities. And the core assumption, as you quote a little bit: life has meaning no matter how adverse the circumstances are. So I'm a little bit distracted. There's somebody who wants to get in. So, so as I got the host, I also get these announcements, but I already pressed to let him in. This core assumption, everybody is familiar with it. Life has meaning no matter how adverse the circumstances are. And, well, I have, where is it? Here. I've just put some few questions to this, but we could extend this. Well, as I often mention in my teachings, so with this core assumption, if I would be a quadriplegic person and somebody, even Frankl, would tell me this sentence directly: well, life has meaning no matter how adverse the circumstances were, I would slap him if I could. But as a quadriplegic, it's very difficult to do. So often the question: how could you make this understandable? Not to drift into a belief, just as I mentioned, as a dogma of logotherapy. How could you rationally argue or bring arguments to this assumption? And here a question, the first question, like I mentioned, with this quadriplegic patient: is there maybe a limit to adversity where meaning no longer can be found, such as extreme sufferings, injuries, illnesses, even also mental illnesses? So maybe with this question, I would already open open the round for discussion. So is everybody familiar with this core assumption? I think so, because I don't know all the participants here, but most of them whom I know, know this. And how do you feel about this? Well, what have been your experiences when you first read this assertion? And are there possibly some limits where you think, it's not applicable in such situations, like tremendous sufferings or not? So just up to you now.
I will start. I don't think we can assume how someone else is going to interpret what they're dealing with. And so that's a first foundation piece we have to look at.
So I just collect, because if I start directly to answer, so then maybe we stick. Michelle was the next
Yes,
hand. Oh yeah, no, you switched here.
Yes. as Cynthia had mentioned, yes, of course, it's going to be very subjective in terms of how someone is able to accept that. But I do believe that it is true, no matter how difficult something is, how deep the suffering is, how intense the mental illness may be. I believe that there is meaning. Our ability to, as logotherapists, to work with individuals to quote unquote convince them of that, I think is where we get into difficult territory. I'm actually a life coach, and so with that, I believe in intense potential, human potential. And in my training, it's we hold on to that belief of this future for a person, where they have come to that realization, and almost, I mean, I'm kind of going off Maslow a little bit here with the whole, self-actualization piece and the potential. But I do believe that we can lead individuals on a path that they are ultimately able to see the meaning in their life, despite what it is that they've endured.
Great. Dida.
Yeah. So I would like to start with saying that I think for Frankl, meaning is not subjective, although the meaning of the moment is subjective, but what he calls ultimate meaning, and maybe we will get into it a bit later because you did put it in your questions for later, but as it came up now, the question of subjectivity, and not everyone can feel the same way. I think that for Frankl, there is the big picture that we as humans cannot see fully. We cannot see the full picture. And you remember that he makes a distinction between our rational mind and what he calls intuition, that is, of course, the tool by which conscience is working, okay? So this ultimate meaning, it means that if there is an ultimate meaning, by the way, he is also very much influenced by Greek ancient philosophy. And the word logos there is not only meaning, but it is also the ordering principle of the universe and also the principle of the good. And that is the relation in his Logophilosophy between morality or ethics, to say it more precisely, and meaning. So if we have ultimate meaning, that should mean that there is something objective. And I would stress here, maybe that is also for a later discussion, but I would just put it on the table here. If you remember the metaphor of the navel that Frankl puts, that he brings forward especially in the unconscious God, he says, just as the phenomenon of the human navel cannot be understood without its origin in the mother, so the phenomenon of the conscience as discerning meaning and knowing good from evil cannot be understood without relation to its origin in transcendence. So when we take in account transcendence and ultimate meaning, it puts a whole different light on the question of subjectivity versus objectivity. Okay? And I think that's important to put on the table right from the beginning. We can get back to the question of the meaning of the moment versus ultimate meaning a bit later. But I just wanted to bring it immediately so that we have kind of the more whole picture that he brings forward. And then I think you have less questions of what you call dogma. I can enlarge upon it later.
Ah, thank you very much, Dina. And yeah, you really brought it on the table. I just tried to, how to say, exacerbate with my questions, so a little bit into the topic and the problematic. But yeah, you already addressed it. It's about the objectivity of meaning, the ultimate meaning. And that's why I do have my problems with the dogma, because it is a dogma. It is just a belief. It is just an assertion. It's nothing provable. It's nothing. Yeah, you need to accept it or not. And I always wonder if there might be, yeah, possible explanations without grabbing back to the transcendence, to some transcendental realms, to this, yeah, to these spiritual realms or religion realms, and really try to, and yeah, you have already seen some the further questions. That there is the last question also. Could you grasp this assertion? Life has meaning. So, or this, oh, it's just a belief assertion. Could you grasp or understand this even without drawing back to the idea of a transcendent realm? And that might be my core question in this topic of meaning in life, meaning that might not be the most crucial problem, meaning of the moment as you addressed it. Okay, it's subjective and this we can discuss, but the assertion life has meaning. So that is for me the how do you call this in English? Der Stein des Anstoßes. So there are some German speakers here also. No, but the problem or the point which bothers me. But I take first the other who have risen their hands. Mendo was the next one, just to collect. And you also could answer to the other to the other speakers already. They want somebody in, so that we get a cross discussion. So that we get a cross discussion, not only the audience via me, but yeah, we can also discuss with each other with this hand raising. It's a good opportunity to have a structure and an order. Okay, Memdu.
Okay, thank you, Andreas. And like Dida, I don't believe it's a dogma. And Frankl, I think, made it very clear. I'm quoting from his books. First, I think it is not a dogma, but these are the knowledges derived by early phenomenologists, Husserlian phenomenologists, because he was very much influenced by Max Scherer. And Max Scherer was the student of Edmund Husserl. And according to Edmund Husserl, because Edmund Husserl was he was searching for a certitude, the truth. So he said, I should not presume anything, but all I have is my consciousness. So he derived a method based on the topic intentionality, that consciousness is consciousness of something, not it is a so he was influenced from that. So I'm quoting from On the Theory and Therapy of Mental Disorders of Frankl. Frankl was deeply influenced by the epistemology of early phenomenologists. Frankl's approach was based on the phenomenology of Max Scheler. Another quotation, Frankl explains phenomenology as, I understand it, speaks the language of man's pre-reflexive, not reflexive, pre-reflexive self-understanding, rather than interpreting a given phenomenon after preconceived patterns. And he made it very clear, a logotherapist is neither a moralist nor an intellectual. His work is based on the empirical and phenomenological analysis of the simple man on the street, experiencing valuing process through creating values, through experiential values, and through attitudinal values. He made such complicated, transcendental phenomenology, just simplified it. And I think I know you're an expert of Heidegger, because Husserlian phenomenology is different than Heideggerian phenomenology, because according to Heidegger, we are thrown in, so life is in a way maybe absurd. But since Husserl was searching for the, in the horizon, the meaning, what that thing is, the meaning of it, the essence of it. So he's looking from Husserlian perspective, and he has a method, Husserlian phenomenology, and the best practitioner was Max Scheler, and he was also, I think, and these things were very well documented, I think, in Will to Meaning, Frankl's Will to Meaning, and he even, I believe, contributed to philosophy, Frankl, by integrating Max Scheler on the one side and modern ontology, Nikolai Hartmann on the other hand, by bringing the concept of Geist. So this is my answers. So he said, we may not know this is really true or not, but this is, as humans, that's what we conceive. This is derived from our experiences of it through phenomenological analysis. Die Lebenswelt, from humans' perspective. So life is meaningful. I do believe life is meaningful, by the way.
Yeah, you need to believe. Okay. Yeah. Thank you for this. Yeah. Not lecture, but introduction. That also, with Husserl and Scheler, and Scheler also needs to be discussed. That's and is still debatable nowadays, especially from the perspective of Heideggerian philosophy. And maybe that's the root where my concerns come from, because because once you already studied Heidegger, it's very difficult to get back to Husserl. And that's a problem of history of philosophy as well. Stanislav.
Yeah, I just wanted to get back from, like, a little bit from the clouds of philosophy into something more like Earth-like. I just wanted two examples. First of all, I think if we talk about the person, I cannot repeat the word, but as far as I understood, it's that like some problems with limbs. Who you talked about that if you tell this person that, so I don't think that because that's we don't do that, right? So if there is a person without limbs, and they tell us that they think that life is meaningful, we don't say no, actually it is, has, by, and that's all. So we discuss, for example, why it's meaningful, why it's meaningless for them. They tell, because I can't bam bam bam, but what you can do, what you still can do without limbs. And maybe we find out that there are things that are still possible. This is the first thing. And second thing, on just another illustration for that, we have a website in Russian. I think it's called like I Had Chemo, but we split up. And it's about the interview of people who survived cancer. And interestingly, like all of them, at least on this website, they say how grateful they are for this condition, that for this disease that they experienced. And I think that, and many of them share that because of this, now they can value the life, value the people who are around them, and so on and so on. So I guess, again, from the point of view, it's like a perspective thing. If you ask them in the moment when they first hear you have cancer, third stage, and then if you ask them immediately, do you think that life has meaning? Do you think that life is meaningful? I don't think that they will say yes, yes, of course. But only after many years of struggling or like suffering and so on, they can say, yes, I'm grateful to this period of my life. Because of this period of my life, I'm able to blah, blah, blah again. So I think it's like more sometimes when we look at this retrospectively, well, like not in the very moment of the life, but even in the very moment of your life, I think if we, I don't think it's I call it not a dogma, but like axiom, I think it's called in English, like as the parallel lines. So it's just an axiom, yes, it's just something that you accept as an axiom, like in geometry. It's not that can be proven, because you know that in geometry of Euclidean geometry, parallel lines never cross. Yes, in, for example, geometry on the sphere, they do. But if we work in the, like on the flat surface, they never cross, and we just accept it as the fact. So I think even if you have accepted as a fact as well, it can also help that just having this knowledge will help the person. That's what, again, you can teach not just the student, but the patient, the clients, because they also grab the ideas of logotherapy while they have consultations with us. And then when something bad happens to them again, they can back to the ideas of Frankl, say like, oh, but actually life has meaning. What can I do in this particular situation? And so on. Because sometimes our meaning, maybe not our life itself, but we are the meaning itself for people around us, and our existence, when they help us, if we talk about mental diseases, when they work with us and so on. In this case, our existence is meaningful, is the meaning itself for other people, and that's how how it's all put together. I hope that I explained my idea. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And of course, in the introduction, my scenario wasn't meant as a real approach of logotherapist to an suffering person. It is just as a put it in a funny way to start discussion. So if I would lay there and some person like logotherapist would tell me this sentence right away, which hopefully nobody will do as a counselor or therapist or so. That's true. Then I would, if I still could, but I can't because I have no limbs anymore. So this is just for a funny scenario. So, but you're right. Even this, help or in the work with cancer patients or this assumption helps very much to get through all these trauma situations or difficult situations and the obstacles of life, but also of your own thoughts and beliefs. And that's very helpful. And you put it with another word, an axiom and dogma. So we could discuss there's the difference. But on the long run, I would agree and go along with you with the axiom. But provocatively, I mostly name it a dogma. Sabine.
Remember Alberto's brother?
But the brother.
Yeah, they look just like Alberto. Yeah. Yeah.
Who
Yeah.
has this wonderful conversation on the background?
J.I. Frank, if you can like.
There, right.
Yeah.
So, okay. Then Sabine, you need to unmute.
Yeah.
Okay.
Basically, Stanislav already took the words, especially the axiom, right out of my mouth, because I seem to remember that even Frankl talked about, I don't know where, and I can't quote it, but I do remember that I read it, that he was talking about the necessity of having some axioms that he just puts forward in order to build on that. And as I'm a life coach like Michelle as well, I personally I feel it's not this core assumption, life has meaning no matter what, is not something that we actually tell our clients, and it's not something but it's something that we need to be convinced of in order to be helpful for our patients, in order for them to have a chance to realize it. And I think that's the point. They only come to the conclusion that their life is meaningless. But that doesn't take away from the fact that life is meaningful. It's just not in their within their possibilities to realize that. And I think from clients or from life, it's more something that I find very comforting. To have this conviction that life has meaning no matter how bad it gets. And so I'm totally, and I'm fine to call it a dogma even. I don't like the
Yeah, right. Yeah, I also work with this, of course, but as conveying the teaching or the philosophy of Frankl, yeah, maybe it's not that much how to say, the demand of the students of mine, but maybe it's rather my emphasis of making it clear or trying to understand it without just assuming that there is, and now I have another word which Memdu used, there is a truth or so, and even an ultimate meaning. So I try always to understand these phenomena, without grasping this, not needing this. Well, if somebody has anyway this conviction and belief or understanding in this, well, that's fine. And he's rather more saved maybe than me in that way. I thought you wanted to answer something on this, but then you need to unmute. Okay, then we go to William.
Thank you. Great topic. I wanted to say the way I kind of like to approach this idea is I like to come in through maybe through Nietzsche, who was an atheist himself, and I think he had this idea that humanity's curse isn't suffering, but it's meaningless suffering, and that we actually like suffering. We even need it, and we're prepared to suffer if it has a meaning. But essentially, at its core, meaningless suffering is not worth living. And that's kind of what Viktor Frankl was saying, that he was an example of maybe the worst evil ever witnessed. And he said, all this suffering around me, all this death, if there is a meaning at all, then there must be an unconditional meaning. But it may not be. But because there's so much suffering in this world, historically, it's just tremendous to even wrap our minds around, that it's so outweighed that if there is a meaning, it has to be unconditional. that there's no other way around it. Because otherwise, meaningless suffering is not worth living, and we are justified in committing suicide. And that was the problem in the Holocaust, that people committed suicide. Why live if it's meaningless? And so if it is, it has to be unconditional. But if it's not, we're justified to commit suicide.
Mm-hmm.
That's my
yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. And even there, philosophically, you may know it. Camus has, discussed this question. As the highest question of philosophy at all, if we would need to commit suicide or not, and even from his nihilistic and absurd position. Well, he made it clear, okay, it's not a solution because it doesn't wipe away all the suffering or wipe away the absurdance of life itself. And that's why we need to endure it and revolt against it and work with it. And this is what we also do with our patients to teach them in spite of suffering. So, of course, suffering, this is what Frankl also mentioned, suffering has no meaning. There is no meaning in suffering in general. We can draw meaning out of suffering by our overcoming the suffering or the way we take stance towards the suffering and to the rest of the life and world. And this is why he coined it like meaning in spite of suffering. And this is what I follow. Yeah, quite completely. That's fine. Yeah, Dida and Memdu. And Memdu, just one question. How long do we have time? 1.5 hours till
we have at least 40 more minutes.
Okay, so I just need to keep this in mind because
without the after party.
Without the after party, right? Then okay, I keep this in mind and in my eye, and so that's why we continue. Dida.
I would like to bring in the parameter of degrees of consciousness. Like the late Dr. Barnes was always giving the themes for congresses about raising our awareness. And when we talk about raising our awareness, that has a lot to do with what we mentioned before, the distinction between our rational mind and the conscience, which is intuitive. And if we make that leap from the dichotomy of yes and no by which the rational mind works, then when we jump into the intuition realm, then it's a direct seeing of what is true or what is real or what is objective. And here I would like to address the question of dogma. I wouldn't call it neither dogma nor axiom nor even assumptions that are easy to work with. But for Frankl, they were tenets, philosophical tenets, which he, as I believe, he saw them directly from a higher spiritual level, in the sense that, in a very similar sense that Plato was talking about seeing the ideas, because Frankl was on a high spiritual level, and he could see more directly what is true. And therefore, he was taking all those as tenets for his philosophical view or worldview on life. And I think as we are mainly discussing logophilosophy here, by which later the logo practice of logotherapy is deriving from, I think it is important that we put the accent on why he takes these tenets. I can relate to what William was saying, and I would like to remind ourselves something that Frankl says in the Man's Search for Meaning. Some people don't realize that sentence there, but he says, when my friends were in the camps, were worried about, will we ever go out of this situation of suffering? He said, I was thinking about something else, that if this suffering has no meaning, it has no meaning to be delivered from this suffering. This is a very strong statement, that it has no meaning to be delivered and to be freed of this suffering if the suffering itself has no meaning. And we all know his mainly saying that when you are driven to the corner by life, then you have to change yourself. So when you change yourself, you can turn a personal tragedy into a human victory. And by that, he means that we can really raise our consciousness to self-transcendence, etc. What we all do, what we all know, I think. So this parameter of degrees of consciousness is normally neglected. And I think it's very much there in the Indian philosophy, for example, but also in Frankl, between this distinction between the rational mind and going above that, going beyond that by intuition, by conscience. And therefore, I started with that analogy of the navel, because in order to be connected with our conscience, we have to realize that we have an inherent connection to the divine by being a human being. And I think that is what he meant by what Memdu was relating to as pre-reflexive understanding, pre-reflexive self-understanding and pre-reflexive understanding of meaning, by which he was, by the way, influenced by Heidegger, who was talking about pre-reflexive understanding of
being.
Time, yeah. He turned it into pre-reflective understanding of meaning. And as to what Mendel was saying, Husserl's, and you said also, Andreas, Husserl's philosophy is very different from Heidegger's. That is true, because I think the aim of Husserl was to come to a real distinct science of consciousness.
Right. Exactly.
Whereas for Heidegger, it is more mystical. And Heidegger was also very much looking for truth, but not in a scientific way. It was more mystical, and there is even a book called The Mystical Origins of Heidegger by the East, Eastern influences on him. So I think that we have to remember that the nous, or the nous as it was pronounced in Old Greek, is something that is really spiritual. And that's why Frankl put it at the core of the human being. And we shouldn't treat it with our rational mind. We should treat it with an openness to transcendence. I think that's important in order to understand this whole problematic that we are bringing here, of course, because students normally say, why these assumptions? It could be different assumptions. Like, for example, you mentioned, Andreas, you mentioned Camus, the Myth of Sisyphus, where he says nihilism and no meaning at all by taking this rock to the mountain, and it gets back and again. But he is against, you were saying correctly, he is against committing suicide, nevertheless. So I don't want to take too much time, but I think it's very important to remember these degrees of consciousness, because there is a higher degree of consciousness, which is intuition, where you see truth in a direct way. It's not anymore this discursive dialogue of opinions. It's not a matter, truth is not a matter of opinions. It's a matter of seeing directly. And that was also Husserl's assumption. That's why he started with the noetic.
Yeah, I understand. And yeah, I don't answer now because it gets too extended then, because there's still Bendu and Michelle.
Yeah.
And we'll listen to them first.
I just raised hand to object the idea of transforming dogma into axiom or principle. because when we say it's a principle or axiom, we are looking to the truth, the reality from Descartes' Cartesian worldview. So what I believe, with the help of Nietzsche, because Nietzsche hated the Plato, Socrates, because they put logic in, or the mind who conceived the reality. So Nietzsche had problem with this. And I believe first Franz Brentano and the student of Franz Brentano, Husserl, brought the concept of intentionality, just the opposite of, like Dida said, rational mind, or in other words, Cartesian way of thinking. The intentionality. Intentionality means who shows us is there. So our intention, our consciousness is directed, act towards that one. But of course, Husserlian thing is we can't say anything. Is this really truth? The truth? But it is being humanness. We conceive it like that. So if we change from Cartesian system to intentionality, there is no axioms or principles. There is only pure consciousness there. So two different perspectives of searching reality. That's why because Husserl started from there. He was a mathematician, and he was saying for 1 + 1 is equal to 2, we are making 6 presumptions. Natural numbers start with 0, and every number is 1 is 2 is 1 plus the other one. So we are making that much axioms in while saying 1 + 1 is equal to 2. I should get rid of these presumptions. What is the pure science? So he started from there, and I believe without the concept of intentionality, we cannot work out life is meaningful, because that is how we, like Husserl says, back to the things themselves, with the help of Nietzsche. By the way, that was my understanding.
What is here? Just a second. Singen Sie Ihre gesprochene Sprache. Es klingt, als ob Sie zu einer anderen Sprache gewechselt sind. What's it? No. Okay. No, I think the AI disturbed me and asked me if we have possibly changed to another language or so. No. Okay. But we always speak English. Okay. Michelle.
Yes, thank you. And I know that you probably need to kind of move on to the rest of your presentation.
Well, I can skip this as well. It's just how to say, something to hang on in the case I get lost in this leading of discussion, maybe.
And we'll probably even bump into one of the other things you were planning to say through our conversation.
Exactly. Dida has already mentioned, but I'll back myself.
Exactly. And you know, this is where I think some of this is the willingness to move into those levels of consciousness, which I know is not always possible for some folks, right? They may not really be comfortable even thinking some of the things that we're suggesting. Which again, no, we don't go in there saying your life has meaning and we're going to make you figure it out. But I guess I'm really curious, Andreas, because you are bringing this up. I'm curious, what is it that your students are coming up with around this are they saying, well, who was Frankl to say that this was an absolute truth? Even when X, Y, and Z happens in someone's life, there's still meaning. Is that the lens that they're coming from? I'm curious.
A good question, maybe also provoking question, because maybe the students often don't come up that especially with this question. They would just mostly they would just swallow it, but some are also very not disturbed, I want to say, or kind of puzzled, with this objectivity of meaning and with the ultimate meaning, because these are assumptions. And if you are not hanging on that much into metaphysics and all these metaphysical realms and try and want to avoid this, then it's really puzzling. And this is but which mostly I maybe admit is me who brings up this topic and this question as well. So I bother them with with this question.
As a philosopher, that's what you're supposed to be doing.
Well, my belief is so in conveying logotherapy, and I think you agree with this. It's mostly a lived philosophy. So, and you need to understand the logophilosophy in order to be a good logotherapist.
Yes.
So, and of course, these three little methods, or so to say it a little bit in negative ways, it's not these great things which Frankl has developed. It's really the whole philosophy, and out of this you can approach patients with any other kind of therapeutic method. But you use it therapeutically, and therefore you need to have this philosophy and understand this, and that's why I tease them quite a lot philosophically. So my students who are here maybe can admit this and agree with. But my perception, I think they mostly enjoy it as well. I dare to say, at least those who are here in the Logo-Chat as well. Well, let's see. I put on the slide again, and Dieter has already, how to say, lead it to also other questions which I would have and concepts. One is exactly also conscience, which is also such a difficult topic, and intentionality, which now was mentioned quite often, and which is a core feature of consciousness. So I agree and admit this with Husserl, that this is what we could rely on, which we on which we can draw back on. The only thing which we do have, if we bracket all the presumptions and the pre-knowledge or so, and out of only this consciousness, what is it? And to shorten the thought, maybe human consciousness is intentionality. And intentionality is, so far, I admit, how to say, the facilitator or the foundation of what we call self-transcendence, which is something which, in logotherapy is used as a key tool for therapy and for finding meaning, actually, and satisfaction and all this. And I put this now in these three questions. Okay, how do you philosophically explain the dogma of logotherapy? Okay, we discussed this, and coming to my last, maybe it could reconcile these thoughts here a little bit. I often, or not often, I always then, after raising up these questions, how could it be life has meaning? Okay, no matter how adverse the circumstances are, as William also said, okay, yeah, if this suffering has meaning, and if there is any meaning, then meaning must be ultimate. I said, well, yeah, maybe the meaning must be ultimate. No, it's not like this. And what bothers me, life has meaning. This is, yeah, an assumption which comprises life in general, life at all, which we don't know, which we can't know, which is far behind and which is transcendent of all our capability of perceiving and knowing and grasping. As Frankl also said, yeah, meaning is transcendent to that what is meaningful. And so is the same with this life and the assertion that life has meaning. Coming back to intentionality as that who we are well, mere intentionality. So in short, then what is this? Yeah, we have intentions, and there are, of course, intentional objects, which is the problem of phenomenology, to grasp these objects out of the mere act of intending them. And this is, well, what do we perceive by this intention with our consciousness? Scheler, well, divided some different states or realms of being, and one was the value being. But there are two other as well. But nevertheless, we intend something. Okay, is something there? Is it real or not? Even this, we never will be able to decide this. We just can assume it. That's the old question of reality or not reality, or all construction, or all only yeah, fantasies, I want to say, but in the constructivism, they put it on the other end and say the radical constructivism says, okay, it's all constructed out of ourselves, and yeah, we can't decide this. And then mostly I get to this this sentence here. If Frankl would have said, life has meaning for us humans, no matter how adverse the circumstances are, then I never would have been inquired and puzzled by this, because then I would say, yes, because we are intentionality, we always intend something, and we are not only intentional, we are also, and which I wouldn't see as a contradiction, as Memdu said it, like the intentionality and contradicting to this the rationality. I think these are two different parts of capabilities which are not contradicting each other, which are just different, and maybe which well support each other also, as Nietzsche then mentioned with the yeah, how is it in English then? But the body, I think, but we have in German and phenomenologically a different term, the Leib. Well, the body as the huge intellect, and the rationality as the little intellect. So I would say, but they work together and they help each other out. But of course, the body then is phenomenological body, not our physical body alone, no, is the one who, well, tells you or gives you understanding and perception of the altogether of the world, the phenomenal world. And where did I stop? Yeah, intentionality on one. And yeah, with our rationality, we seek for reasons, which is also rooted. Also, these words are connected together etymologically. We search for reasons. So that's what we are naturally and necessarily doing, is intending something and finding a reason for what it is. And this is our basic conscious movement. And for this, no matter how adverse the circumstances are, we always try to find a reason for it, or even, and both together, so to say, and find meaning out of it. Not in it, but out of it. And that's why, I finally come to this sentence. Okay, for us, life has meaning, unconditional meaning, because we searched meaning, and because we are searching meaning, we always are able also to find some meaning in it, with our either intentionality as well as our rationality. So that was a little bit my point. Maybe are there any comments about this? So maybe I open up the plenum again, so to see everybody. Yeah, Dida.
Yeah, if you don't mind, because I don't want to take other people's time. But if nobody else wants, before I want to comment something about what you said.
Mm-hmm.
Is that okay?
For me, yes.
Yeah, okay.
It depends on your comment, actually.
Well, nothing is personal. I just am concerned about the time of everyone. I want to say that for Husserl, as well as actually for Brentano, who coined the term intentionality, and Husserl took it from him, it was that consciousness is always directed at something, like Memdu said, but he meant directed at an object, always. Whereas for Frankl, he did take this term intentionality, but for him, consciousness is always directed at values and meanings in the first place. That's the noetic realm. So it's not so much towards objects as well as it is towards values and meanings. And that's a different realm, of course, altogether. And just for your last comment, when you say if we intend something, as you said, then we are finding a reason or look for a reason, and then we find meaning. I think in the sense of Frankl, if we intend to something, we are intending to find the right meaning of that very moment. And don't forget, if we talked about the relationship, and you called it the tension between ultimate meaning and the meaning of the moment, I always say that the meaning of the moment must be a derivative of the ultimate meaning. It can't be different, although it is subjective according to where you are in your process. And like the chess game, where you are in the context, vis-a-vis who you play with, etc., etc. But I think that it's always a derivative of the ultimate meaning, and therefore I would say that for Frankl, if you intend to something, it's not like you find a reason, you find the meaning. You find the meaning of that particular moment for yourself. And he goes very far in what he says. He says there is always, that life is asking us, his Copernican revolution. He says there is always just one answer, one true answer. And that is very far-fetched. But he says that there is only one answer which is true. Sometimes you would know it retroactively, but the thing is that that's the idea of being intuitive, that it's not that you deliberate, is this right, is this wrong, is this that, but you see directly if you grasp the meaning of the moment. And like William said, there can't be a meaning if there is not an unconditional meaning. And therefore I say it's always a derivative. Okay, it's not like you
Yeah, this is what what I would argue, and what I wouldn't go so far back to say, well, and this is also a sentence of Frankl. Yeah, there is only but one right answer.
Yeah, that's
And if we know it or if we don't grasp it, or yeah, you brought up the conscience, it will tell us, or the conscience might tell us exactly this one single right answer, or not, because you don't know until the deathbed, as he mentions, if you or your conscience has spoken right or not. And therefore, and this tension between the ultimate meaning or the meaning of life or a farther longing purpose in life or so. Well, this tension is one of also my slides, but it is also a problematic thing because, well, as Frankl also said, I think in English is the ultimate meaning. So in German is the Übersinn. So the meaning of it all, of the I don't know, of life, the universe, and all the rest, we can't know. We will never know, or we only can assume it, and we can believe it. That's all. And all who believe it might be fine because they are soothed and comforted. All others do have problems with this topic, and I don't know if he said, but I would say, okay, we should just forget about this and don't discuss about the ultimate meaning because we never will understand it. And the meaning of the moment is something different, and that's another topic of the core concepts. The word meaning is one in the next slides. So what does it mean, meaning? So that's very difficult. We always talk about, it's the same as Heidegger brought up the idea, okay, we are talking about being. We are, you are, I am, and we always, it is, there is existence and all these things, but what is it? It's so there in our mouth, in our thoughts, so, but how could we understand this? And especially as logotherapists, if we are working with the word meaning, it seems often to be difficult to say, you need to find the meaning of the moment. Okay, but what is the meaning? Well, you need to find it out by your intuition. This is, I agree, okay, but what's this? It leads you to your conscience. That's another question. Okay, what is the conscience? The meaning organ, the voice of transcendence. Yeah, maybe we don't go or we don't need to go that far. We just can be in our phenomenological realm and perceivable life and world. And maybe we come there to some other conclusions where we don't need to go back to these ultimate topic and transcendent topic, which is for more secular or not believing persons, maybe admitted nihilists or existentialists might be quite difficult to address them. And logotherapy should be helpful for, as Frankl said, for any person. But William, Dieter has still the hand, or
no,
okay, then
no.
And William.
Yeah, I want to say again, a really great topic because I tend to be more atheist myself, and when I discovered logotherapy, it has a much more of a theistic bent to it, and so it's good to have both sides and to be able to work with both sides because I struggled with that myself. And what I kind of gathered from what you were saying, and I believe this could potentially be true, that maybe what defines humanity itself is that we are a meaning-making species. We create it. That is what defines us. Maybe that is our role and our function in a meaningless universe. It could be there is no ultimate meaning. It's absolutely meaningless. And it is humanity's task to inject meaning into the meaningless. Because we are a meaning-making species. That's just what we do. We make meaning, and we can't avoid it. It's unavoidable, inescapable. We will always make meaning, because that is what we do. We are a meaning-making species. And so we give meaning to a meaningless universe because we're a meaning-making species. And that's what defines us. And for an atheist, that works for me.
Thank you very much. And okay, now as you have had your coming out, I also can come out. So I talked about other people who may be nihilists or existentialists or so. Well, thank you. I'm on the same line. I'm a nihilistic atheist, and an existential nihilistic atheist or so. I don't know about all these labels, but that's why I struggle with these. And yeah, what you said is, now I pointed here, but now you're there. Okay.
Sorry.
No, that's a soup. Now, that's great. But, and this is what I try to solve always with my teaching, or which I have thought through for conveying this logo theory or logo philosophy in the originary way, not to, put in other streams of logotherapy. So I don't know if it's so familiar. Alfred Langley or so is one school which is denied a little bit by, or not a little bit, but by Frankl. And what you said, we are meaning making, and I would agree. I struggled with one student, a philosopher student as well, and I think she's here but without picture. Meaning making, meaning creating against in the originary logo philosophy, the idea of meaning only can be found and not created. And I think making out meaning of something, so to in a way which is closer to finding meaning. I make out of the situation, I make out some meaning of this. I move myself, I change my attitudes or so to really understand and maybe somehow kind of finding also meaning in this situation. Is closer to Frankl than to say, okay, I just give in the meaning and I create the meaning into the life. So this would a little bit contradict the Frankl assumption. But because we are running out of time, I just say some few sentences to how could we understand this idea life has meaning in general? And a little bit maybe philosophically clumsy, try to introduce it as that the meaning of life is a lived life. So, and life itself is already the meaning and meaningful. It is meaningful by living the life, and life itself is meaning. And how could you then live your life properly? Well, then you need to think as a human, and what is it to be as a human? And there it comes these, within noetic realm, being self-distancing, being self-transcending, being intentional, having this intuition, having a sense of right or wrong. This bothers us as well. And and coming back to the word of meaning, what does it mean, meaning? So this word, especially for advising people, meaning of the moment, and just find the meaning in this moment. Well, what is it? And Frankl says, well, it's that. What is it? What is urgent or what is necessary? I don't know exactly the English translation, but somehow in that way. Okay, that's also kind of inconcrete. And I dare to paraphrase or interpret meaning or the meaningfulness of such moment just with life serving. And I think we have an intuition, and then we don't need to have the intuition into a transcendence. Like Dida brought up the analogy from Frankl with the navel, which shows towards something beyond us. Okay, it's the mother, but this is still in our universe, in our world. Me as a child and my mother, so we are in the world. And I think the intuition could bring us intuitive knowledge, which is not maybe in words or so, or not this concrete right or wrong, but it's more a sense of this direction or that direction, as I call it, the conscience, then the integrative of all our lived experience. So then it gets back again to the life and the lived life, and we have lived our life already so far to our point now, no matter how old we are. We have had thoughts, we have had educations, we have had struggles, intellectual struggles. We made up our mind here and there. We have beliefs, experiences, bad and good ones, and we are not alone. As Memdo rightly said, the Heidegger assumption, we are thrown into the world. We just find ourselves here already in the world. And also this is something which influences all my lived experience. And this is what, as intuition, I can sense in a way as the conscience. So it is the conscience which calls me up to be more aware of how I'm living. If I'm living conscious and aware, and not just as Heidegger put it now, fleeing into the day or into the one. So just doing into conformism, easily said. I do what everybody's doing, what we have already done or always done. So this is the relief of the responsibility, and the conscience is something who makes us feel that we should be more aware and attentive of our own decisions and responsibility, and then into us, what is it which I should do right now in this situation? How should I decide? And this is welled up, so to say, by our whole life experiences already. And it's difficult because there are so many concepts in which I have on the slides, and I try now to summarize and compromise all together. But I hope it was a little bit clear. Memdu and Dida has still some hands up. Yeah, Memdu first.
Sorry. First, I sympathize Williams, but I don't agree with we make meanings. I think in phenomenology is is the study to really work out the structures of our mind. So there is something built and given. Maybe Kant stated as a priori, because not experience, but it comes within the structure of our perceiving things. So phenomenology is a way to find out what comes within the structure of the of consciousness. So as humans, we conceive it, life is meaningful. But is it truth? Who knows? I don't think phenomenology answers this. But I disagree with Dida on the concept that the intentionality's main objective is not the object, but the subject, the essence, the meaning of the thing. Because Husserl said, I want to have the back to the things themselves. I have to really say something about the meaning of the thing that I'm analyzing it, not just the object. So this has a very important thing because it, in a way, integrates Western philosophy with Eastern philosophy as well. Through phenomenology, we can philosophize for meridians or chakras and such things as well. The meaning as well, the esoteric things as well. So his main concept is he was trying to really put as a science the meaning. So I think I really fascinated with Frankl. He made things very applicable, very simple. This fascinates me. That's all. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, and as we are running out of time and of participants, Dida, the last.
The last one, okay, thank you. I just want to make a comment about Andreas, that when you put together an atheist view of the world together with existentialist, I want to point out that there is a distinction between secular existentialism and religious, they call it, but spiritual existentialism,
Okay.
to what Frankl belongs. And he might be even the highest of them, or the extremist of them. So therefore, the question of the meaning of life is not that you have to find the meaning in spite of a meaningless word. To that, as you yourself said, Frankl would not agree, because he says we have to find out the meaning and not to make out or to invent, etc., etc. And just the last point I want to make is what you said, Memdu, about Husserl, etc. Indeed, Husserl wanted to find the structures of consciousness, and indeed, he wanted to find the essence of the object. That is absolutely true. That's why he said the noetic reduction and all that. Nevertheless, his view on it was scientific, and I don't think that Frankl would have agreed with Kant, who made it even more scientific in terms of, again, our mind, intellectual mind, because he did it in the realm of space and time, whereas Frankl, as well as Heidegger, goes through that to a higher dimension, okay? And and thank you. And I think that Frankl goes out of the space and time in those moments that you perceive something very, very intuitively and very in a spark, kind of like. And that's what Heidegger, to just sum up and really finish, what Heidegger calls aletheia, that is unconcealing the veil which hides the truth from us. And this is very rare that it happens in life, but suddenly, kind of like the curtain of our perception opens, and then we can see directly the reality of the truth if you want.
I understand the aletheia of Heidegger different. Actually, it's like a disclosure, and this is the act what we are doing with our consciousness. In general, we disclose, by intention and by perception, and well, I said and, but I have not yet ready another word for, but these, because cognition is not the right word, but recognition, to recognize the world and recognize ourselves being in the world already and being immersed in the world, and there is not me and world. Yeah, we are both together by the wholeness or togetherness of what the meaning. For Heidegger, it's also meaning. World is the meaning, the complexity of meaning, but it's not something which is out there or so. It's just something which we are. And all what we perceive and all what we then understand is aletheia, is the truth. The truth is the process of discovering and disclosing.
Unveiling,
Unveiling.
But
so far,
which is
we can make another discussion of it. That's beautiful.
Possibly, because there are different philosophers with their philosophies, which also battled with each other in history, and that's why we still have something to discuss on. That's fine, and that's great. So, regarding the time, officially, I would say, I thank you all for your participation and contributions, and hopefully, I haven't, or we haven't disturbed you too much in your logotherapeutic comfortability.
Andreas, maybe other colleagues who have never spoken would like to comment or ask something.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, if there
for
is,
example, I see Ingeborg is trying to say something.
Ingeborg, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, it's okay. It's good. It was good. Yes, I like it. But I'm the first time here, and I want to hear, and I come again. I will come again.
Great, yeah, and all the enclosed participants with the dark video pictures also. If you want to speak up something, please feel free. Say a comment.
Well, we all know that philosophers are very confusing. Everyone. Normally say if you have 3 professors, you have 5 definitions of the same thing.
That's true.
I was just thinking about how to work with the real layman or laywoman client, bringing whether they're interested in this background, let's say information and discussion, although it's important for us. But how to translate it? I'm working with enterprises, for instance, purpose, and job drafting, Sabine. And so I'm not quite sure how to address them with the deep philosophy themes of philosophy.
Well, Yeah, what I always say is, especially as student of mine, of course, you then convey logotherapy more practically. You apply it either for your own life or as counselor or even as therapist. And of course, you need to, say it in the client's words. So, but you, as such, who is learning this logotherapy and logophilosophy, need to know a little bit deeper the roots and the thoughts, and you need to know more than your possible clients who have read even maybe The Doctor and the Soul. Mostly they don't have, but there are some. So that's why, you need to endure all this learning, this philosophical learning through my teachings. But of course, don't tell it the clients in that way. Just
Right.
make it for yourself deeply understandable, so that you could easily convey it or transmit it by asking them, "Oh yeah, well, what do you think? Is it all completely meaningless, or could there be still some kind of meaning in this situation now? And maybe we could discover this together, and you don't need to overwhelm them with the whole theory." Okay, Moosh. There is one. Yeah, I think it's Moosh. You have risen your hand.
Materi.
Materi.
M. Taheri. Oh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. M. Taheri, please unmute and unveil your camera. Okay, will there be any comment? Moosh, do you want to speak? Then please unmute the microphone. Okay, or maybe not. Yeah, I already thank you all. So I give back the lead to to Memdu. And yeah, you can close the session.
Thank you so much for your attention, and thank you for enlightening us and creating this discussion environment, Andreas. It was a superb topic for me, superb topic. And I learned a lot of things from these discussions, really. Thank you. And let me stop recording.
Thank you, Willem.
But I cannot see.
Thank you very, very much. I also learn a lot.
Thank you. And I also learned a lot. That's what we are here for.